Hello, and welcome to week 3 of our online open class. So, what I want to do this week with a couple of different videos. First, on this video, I'm going to talk about training plans and being realistic about what you can and cannot do each day, and also how to avoid doing too much when you go, for example, to the club to train, right? And there's all this room and they have all the jumps and everything, and we get away from what we need to be doing. Okay, so let's talk about training plans first. Okay, some people are great at writing out a training plan. Every great trainer will tell you it's a good thing to do. I don't always write mine out. Okay, I'm honest. Okay, I don't have a weekly log. I should. I did with Zelda. It really helped. Um, and whether you do that or not, it's more important that before you get off the couch to train, that you have the plan of what you're going to do that day. At the very least, know what you are going to do. Okay? So, a fast story here before I talk some more about how you can um, figure out your training. So, years ago with Shelty Liza, Uh, I'd go to Northfield dog training and pay for floor time. It's closer to my house than the club, and being I'm lazy, I'd rather just do that. And what I found was when I had an hour, I was doing all the open and utility exercises because I had the space, and that was just poor training, absolutely poor training that day, because that's not what my plan was. Okay? So what I started doing was I started thinking about, okay, if I'm going to Northfield today, what do I want to do today? And for example, go outs, right? Because my hallway's not long enough for a real go out, right? Or wide enough, for goodness sake. So I would think, okay, we're gonna warm up with a little bit of healing, do go outs, and then I might do then a figure eight, and then I did one other thing. And that could take about 30 minutes, okay? And by limiting myself to 30 minutes, I didn't do too much. Now, having said that, when your dog is just learning, you need to be more intentional about how training's going to go. So, for example, with a dog who's trained, so right now Judy's trained in open, right? She knows all of open. She has her CDX, getting ready to show in utility this year. Um, Sometimes I just want to see how does open look today? And my training might be doing a ring entrance, going and doing maybe 3 open exercises in a row. And if she does them all well, fantastic, break off, have a party. We might do the last couple or not. But basically, it's seeing improvement with open. But now, what if we're learning? And that's where everyone in class is, right? And I don't want to say once you know utility, you're done learning because you're not, right? We always keep learning. But I'm going to share my screen here. I know it looks like a dog club meeting now that I'm sharing a screen, but I did write this out for you so you could see it. So this is an example. I didn't do the whole week, I just mocked it down. But this is what I did with Zelda, because Zelda, I had to be very intentional. She had some, okay, Zelda has some issues with some sound things and other items. And so what I came up with, and it worked really well, and I've done this a bit with Judy also, is I might do 4 items a day in training. I like the number 4. It works well. So the first thing that we do in training is basically for me something they know. What does she know? Um, because you really don't want the first item you do having to be a 30-minute item and that's it, right? We can't always predict that, but let's get a little ways here. Okay. Then the second thing is something they have a hard time with. For Zelda, it was trying to do the dumbbell with noise. So, I mean, It started with her on leash next to me, um, and I drop a dumbbell, a large dumbbell next to me, hand her dumbbell, right? Until it got to the point she could race and I was flinging all sorts of things around. Okay. So what do they have a hard time with? But then after that, something they enjoy. Okay? Liza, in all her goofiness, loved to heal. Oh my God. If after training, I didn't even have to give her food. She would be like, just give me a figure eight and I'm happy as a clown, right? So to do a figure eight, I had a really happy dog. So something they enjoy. Um, then something new. Okay? So for example, if I'm looking at today, tomorrow, Tuesday. So something they know, attention. I can do a couple of attention games with her, attention exercises. Then the something that we've been working on is a drop without steps, whether it's drop on recall, command discrimination, or signal exercise. And it's getting a lot better. Now it's down to like one step, but we still need to work on that. Something fun for today, the OK Get It game. Then something new, multiple go out. So she's learning go out, but now go sit, go sit, go sit, and to say, hey, I can call that whenever I want, right? So we're looking at that. Tomorrow might be a little bit of healing, my 3 steps I can do here right now. Again, the drop without steps, so I'll do that 2 days in a row. Articles in a fun pattern. This dog loves it. The other day I had him in the living room. She had to go around the corner to the hallway to find the articles. Did that. And then she's never done directed retrieve with multiple gloves out, just the threes. So to do more would be something new for her with that exercise. And then as one more example, Tuesday, a figure eight, something she knows. Um, I honestly can't do a figure eight yet, but for an example for you. Again, we're working on mouthing. Her mouthing is getting better, but we still need to work on that with the dumbbell glove and articles. Upswing healing, she really enjoys. And then signals as command discrimination, basically out of order, right? So I might leave her on a stand and ask for a sit, then a down, and then a come. I want her thinking at all times. So that Wednesday, you might have the day off. And one thing I want to mention about training, if you do a grid like this for a training plan, be realistic with yourself. I don't expect you to train every day. Um, Now, for some people, if you want to train every day, like so, well, my schedule was I'd get to campus at 7 a.m. and I would teach till 8 p.m. I'd be home at 9. I would do some cheer fronts. I could sit my butt on the couch, say front a few times. I've trained that day, but it's training. It's training. You can do it. So make sure you give yourself days off. Okay. Handlers are not machines. Also, you do not have to work on the same thing every day, and that's important. So many times you think, oh my God, I have to work on this, boom, 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 and the dog gets bored. Now, there are exceptions. And let me tell you that I'm going to give you two exceptions to that in terms of um, having to do something every time out training. And as you can tell, I never write down notes when I do Zooms. I'm just going here. Um, Number one, if your dog, if you're working on the dog taking and holding the dumbbell every day. And that's maybe you get about 5 takes in a minute. Again, it's not a half-hour training. The other thing is when you start to train in the future for utility articles, really have to be done every day for the dog to understand them. Those are really the only two things. Okay? Um, Something they know, something that can always be improved, for example, is heel position, just practicing that. Okay, so a lot of these things, fronts separately, finishes separately, so think about that. And every exercise can become their fun exercise. It's really interesting what certain dogs enjoy. So that's an example of a training plan. Now let me get rid of that. Alrighty, so some of you this week are going to go to the club and train in rooms 1 and 2, which means you have a truckload of space. So this is what I'm going to suggest based on what I've seen from those of you who have sent me videos. Um, Number one, all heeling on leash. Your dogs are not ready for off-leash heeling yet, and they really need to be on leash. There is nothing wrong with that. Many people only take the leash off when they show. Okay, so heel on leash, otherwise your dog's going to be out of position. Okay, I'd work on some heeling on leash, straight line heeling. Don't worry about turns. If your straight line heeling is not lovely with the dog in heel position, including a halt, and then including the setup, forward, halt. Don't do any pace changes. If your dog is not freaking perfect on that, no turns yet. Keep leash on. If the dog is looking really good, leash and pocket in the shove down your pants, whatever it might be. So it's still on the dog, but you can kind of correct back here, get back here with the leash. So if you go do heeling, and it is a nice space to do a nice long heeling, okay? You can set up ring entrances a number of ways. You could do a ring entrance through that I kind of door to nowhere between rooms 1 and 2, right? That if we have ring gates there, it's a door, but otherwise, there's kind of this odd little door there. Okay, that looks like a ring entrance to a dog. 2 posts going through. You can set up 2 ring gates. You don't have to set up a whole ring. So anything going through, prop open a bathroom door, go in and out, right? So you can do that. In and out of the kitchen area, that's a ring entrance. In and out of the hallway to room 2, that's a ring entrance. So do a couple of those, and again, set your standard. Okay. And if your standard is I'm walking through and I want the dog looking either at my face, shoulder, or leg, right? So basically they're paying attention to you. That's what they need to do. Okay. Okay. And do it without saying, look, 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 right? Just let's go, and the dog should be with you. Okay, you can also practice. And again, I'm thinking about what you probably don't have at home indoors in this lovely weather. We have talked about broad jumps, obviously last session. So a broad jump, make sure you measure it so your dog is jumping the correct length of the broad jump. Very important. So the broad jump, and again, I don't want all this body language on the broad jump. So what can the dog do, right? And then of course, if your dog is actually retrieving the dumbbell, understands over, a retrieve over the high jump if you want that. And not a lot of you are ready for that one. So that's just command discrimination. You guys can do it in a group if you want. That's fine. And again, you can help yourselves to help each other in training. So those are just some suggestions. Again, don't try to do the world. Now, this week I'm going to talk about drop on recall. So if you want to practice that, again, that's a nice large space to practice drop on recall. And so that's where we're headed. And so with that, I'll close this Zoom. Let me find the stop here. There we go. And then I'll do a couple more Zooms now on some of the exercises. And as always, have a great day.